320 representing JBS. I'm back again for an early movie review for Hardcore Henry. Be quite honest with you, when this movie came with this first trailer, I remember there was a clip that had been going through on the live streams and the trends and on Facebook. And I think it was labeled hardcore, where it basically had like this person that was strapped to a chair, and basically they were saying that they have to go and try to save their girlfriend. And then you just see all this amazing first-person action that's really grounded in as far as practical effects, GoPro cam, and it was just high-octane action, you know? And I think that it's the same makers of that, if I'm not mistaken. But either way, so the director of this is Ilya Naishuller, and then it stars Sharlto, Copley, Tim Roth, Haley Bennett. They're the main notable actors in this one. Copley, if you don't know, he played in District 9. I think he was also in, what was that one with Matt Damon, the last one? Ah, crap, I forgot it. Sorry, y'all. But he's an awesome actor, and he actually stands out in this movie. But let's go ahead and get into this review. And this is going to be a whole non-spoiler. As far as the cinematography, as far as the music is very interesting. Normally I don't talk about music first, but the music in this one is so weird. Like, there's so many different musical choices because it literally is like a free roam raid. Like the best way I can describe it is take the movie District, what is it, D13 or District 13, and then take the Raid Redemption and keep that kind of pacing. Like, it jumps from here to here, to scene to scene to scene, and it keeps up with it. It's really intriguing actual soundtrack. It's just misplaced because it's never a point where it kind of stops. And that's a good segue into the cinematography. The cinematography is actually really awesome in the sense that this is using a GoPro from the moment that you see the main character interacting with the character that Bennett plays and how they interact, which is the character's name's Henry, to his environment around him and just how he interacts with everybody. It's really seamless. The issue that people are going to have, I'm going to be admitting to that, is that it's awesome visuals, it's awesome practical effects, like the gore, the violence, the intrigue, even from the opening titles. It was genius, but it was really gory. The problem with it is not necessarily the gore or the grotesqueness of the violence. It's more so just the strain on your eyes. That's the best way I can kind of describe it, because there are moments in this movie that I literally was like, oh, man, oh gosh. Like, that's literally how I felt. Like, there was one point I left out of the movie and I came back, and I guess that's a benefit and a fault of the movie is that when I left and then I came right back, it wasn't like I missed the beat. Like, it's still things that were happening. There's still deaths that were taking place. There were still high-octane things that were kind of still pacing along. Now, I have to admit, the stunt coordinators for this and the cinematographers, they had to go through hell and back because the movie takes place on a plane, in the sky, in the stratosphere, on the ground, in the water, like all these different locations. I don't know how much work they put in or how many man hours they took, but oh my gosh, the stunt coordinators were genius, because whoever they had being the main lead or whoever had the GoPro or whatever person was, like, they took careful care to make sure they pinpointed each one of those specific scenes. Now, I will admit, the VFX sometimes that they use for the explosions, sometimes it's really good. Like, there was one sequence that I saw towards the end, and it was a night sequence. It was one of the final fights. I thought that was really good VFX. Specifically, there's one character that he's using some other elements. That's all I can really say, that it borders on the line of a movie that I saw a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago. It's with the three guys that actually got the powers. Crap, how did I'm sorry, I'm all messed up today. But either way, it reminded me of that as far as the elemental kind of thing. But then there were moments where I saw like explosions that just really look really cheap. Like, the thing about this, and I know I'm talking a lot about the visuals, but that's what this movie really is. There's not that much in the line of a story. But as far as the actual movements of the movies, like, if you took like Oculus Rift or something like that, and you gave somebody choices, and you were just in this game, like, this would be one of the greatest games to actually play consciously, because there's so many different scenarios. I mean, like, this would be an amazing game. It might be actually too much of a game in certain extents, I guess, from that regard. But it's definitely on point as far as action. Now, the thing about the actors, this is not a, this is not for the heavy on the acting side. I mean, Copley is a very intriguing character. Like, when you see him, you're not going to understand a lot of what's going on, which I actually really love, because he plays this charismatic character, then this really impulsive character, then this really melodramatic, then this really reserved, and I was like, what is going on? and it's one of the interesting mysteries of it. Not just that, the main character really doesn't say anything, so you don't really get to see him. Then the other people that are around him, such as Haley Bennett, who plays Estelle, she's in it. Tim Roth is in it for a little while. I'm not going to bring up his character arc. But Haley plays an interesting role with the main character of Henry. And it starts off really interesting, compelling. Not the best on the love side, but not the worst at the same time. It was just enough to get you started off, because after that point, all hell breaks loose, literally. So as far as the story, there is no story. I mean, there's a semblance of an arc of who Henry is, how does he have the abilities that he has, what is happening to him, and where he has to go. It takes a book from Crank, like I said, The Raid Redemption, or The Raid, District 13, these kind of generated movies, most of them kind of have like a small arc that divides the main character with a set goal, or try to save someone. And this is the same kind of sense of this one, because he's bent and desperate to try to save someone that he really desperately loves. But there's along the way just so much that happens that completely gets misconstrued out. So your intention of watching this movie needs to be that you're going for the entertainment value. You're trying to go to see this. You're like, all right, I just want to kind of push away from reality for a little while and just enjoy just the gore fest and the action. And I'm not talking about like Deadpool action, because Deadpool action is really funny, it's really intriguing, it was probably one of the better movies this year. This is just high octane action. It's not really in the depths of an actual story. So I guess as far as the movie is concerned, I'd probably give it a 6 out of 10, at most a 6.5 out of 10. It's not necessarily a bad movie, it's just what it is. It doesn't have any real story, but they do take so much measures with the visuals effects, with the aesthetics, with the cinematography, and then even with the stunt work. It's just on target. But I will say that if you've not looked at movies like District 13 or its sequel, or if you haven't seen The Raid or Raid Redemption, those are a lot better movies and probably have a little bit better as a story. I know for a fact Raid Redemption definitely has a way better story, and as well as Raid 2. But it's like I said, it's something that you should probably check out, but do not take your children to see this. And not because of violence. That's one thing. Violence is on an all-time high. There's gore just spewing out. Violence is spewing out. Matter of fact, nudity, everything you can really think of is in this movie. But as far as the camera angles, what's going to happen is if you take your kids there to see it, they're going to be seeing things that their mind can't process it, and it's going so fast that it could literally make them potentially sick. Or you deal with the ramifications of having dreams later on, and they are remembering stuff that they didn't remember consciously, and then they have to deal with that later, and you're going to have to kind of help them out. So I wouldn't bring any kids probably under 14 to see this movie, because it's just a lot to process. It was a lot for my eyes, string-wise. It was an interesting ride. But yeah, that's my final thoughts on it. This was Hardcore Henry. Keep it locked, JVS. We ain't gonna stop. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace.